Okay, this is part 2 of the 80s wrestling cartoon characters. Mike Money again with Jacob Carver and B. Brian. Whatever. Brown. We're going to start with some of the secondary characters. I'm going to start with Ted DiBiase because people don't realize this. He was the $1 Million Man. That character was originally built for Vince McMahon himself. But this was years before he'd come out of the closet so he could wrestle. No one knew he had big arms behind them stupid suits he wore. So DiBiase came in and did it. There was a rumor Gino Hernandez was going to do it too, but that's another story for another time. Okay, how about Brutus Beefcake? That was Hulk Hogan's boyfriend, we heard. Don't know how true that is. Brutus the Barber. I thought that was a bad gimmick.
Horrible wrestler.
Couldn't wrestle. He did so many dumb gimmicks, and all he did was he was Hogan's buddy.
Yeah.
And he followed him around, got away with whatever. Ravishing Rick Rude. I liked him. He never really got his due in the WWE, I don't think, but he was a pretty good wrestler. Good on the mic. To all you Pennsylvania pissants. He was always good on the mic. How about Hacksaw Jim Dummy? Oh, did I say that? Hacksaw Jim Dummy.
Oh!
Why is he like Lita? Ho! Not a big fan of him. I liked him as Crazy Duggan when he was like bad guy back in the old Mid-South.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
UWF, he was a good guy by then, but I think in the old Mid-South he came up as a bad guy. It's just, again, you could beat anybody as he knocked out, his big claim to fame, he knocked out Andre with the 2x4. As Bobby Heenan so glibly put it, you could knock out our charging rhinoceros with the 2x4. So it's not that impressive anyway. How about Jimmy Superfly Snuka? He sort of did the early 80s. And
Captain Coconut.
Yeah. He went in there and got away with murder, by the way. He definitely killed some lady, and then because he was a little crazy after the years, they never charged him.
And the greatest thing is when he was in Piper's Pit.
The coconut, yes.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Piper smashed his ass with a coconut.
Are you making fun of me? Why, no. That's one of the greatest things. I agree. That was what put Piper's Pit on the map, because beating up Frankie Williams was all right, and some of the other things, but when he smacked Snuka with a coconut was great. How about Cowboy Bob Orton? That Bruno Sammartino always said Horton because, you know, he couldn't talk. He's Italian.
You gotta feel bad about the guy. I mean, his arm was in a sling for, 12 years?
The only thing worse was Bobby Heenan with the neck brace.
And father of Randy.
Randy Orton, who's a third-generation wrestler and still can't wrestle. We were talking about that tonight. Don't understand how somebody has that much talent, supposedly, still can't wrestle. Okay, Orton teamed in the 80s with the magnificent Don Morocco. He was all right. I remember him more before the cartoon characters when he was like Intercontinental Champion, would wrestle Pedro Morales, and they called him a beach bum. He would go to the ring. I always remember this too. He had a box of donuts, and he's eating a powdered donut, and he's got the sugar or the powder all over his face. He put the donut down on the ring thing, went in, did the match, went out, picked it up, and ate the rest of it on the way out. I'm like, are you kidding me? He was pretty good, though. How about Greg the Hammer Valentine? I thought he was one second-generation wrestler, was very good. Probably the figure four. Was that what he was known for?
Yeah,
figure four. Did he steal that from Flair, or did Flair steal that from him?
Well, Flair we'll talk about on a different one because he didn't get into WWE till the 90s. They were tag team partners back in the old NWA, so I don't know who did it first. It's hard to say. How about Dino Bravo? One thing I forgot to mention, we'll go back to the 70s when I was telling Mr. B. Bryan, we did not mention Dominic DeNucci. And him and Dino Bravo were tag team champions in the 70s.
That is true.
Anyway, Dino Bravo, he dyed his hair blonde, and I think he tagged with Greg Valentine. He was the new Dream Team when they kicked out Beefcake, when they turned Beefcake good guy, because he just sucked so bad they wanted the fans to root for him. One of my favorites, George the Animal Steel. Hey, you.
Before they turned him semi-babyface.
Oh, he was awesome as a heel, but this is when he came out with Steamboat. Again, screwed Savage, WrestleMania 3. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. He was all right. Not a great wrestler. Actually, believe it or not, was a college professor. You used to only see him like when they had classes weren't in, and no one ever believes that, but it's true. How about Mr. Blunderful, Paul Orndorff? He was a big, I guess, bodybuilder type at the time. One of the Hogan's nemesis. And just sort of, he was good for a while. I don't know if he had problems in the head or backstage or whatever, because he would disappear and then come back. He'd be a good guy, a bad guy. You just couldn't make up his mind what they wanted to do with him. So I'm not sure what happened there. What about Stagger Lee or what was the other name? Sweet Brown Sugar? I mean, Coco, beware. Does anyone even remember him? They remember Frankie, the stupid bird he came to. Did he ever win a third of his matches? What do you think?
I would say a solid mid-card guy, maybe, at best.
At best, yeah. He was, to me, would have been better with the tag team, but I guess they did put him with the blue blazer for 2 seconds, but...
But he definitely was the definition of a cartoon character.
Oh my God, yes. It's and then some. How about Kamala?
Where since I got the belly.
Yeah. I liked him. He was one of the first guys I remember seeing wrestle barefoot. Not the first, but one of the first. Because then what they would do is just step on his feet.
And his trainer.
Kim Chi.
Kim Chi.
This is a classic too. I'm going to give a shout out to Jim Lamendo. He's supposed to be watching this one time. He always wanted to know who was Kim Chi, and I said, dude, was anybody who wore the mask? And I think he thought that because one of the classic Saturday Night main events, Honky Tonk Man dressed up as Kim Chi and came out and beat up Jake the Snake. And I think that's why he always thought it was somebody famous, but it was only that one time. And you could see the fancy kerchief he had, and if you listen to the match, McMahon's going like, this Kim Chi. He kept giving you so many hints that you should have known something was coming up. Anyway, I wanted to give a shout out to Jim. How about the one-man gangbang? That's my porno nickname. I'm just kidding. One-man gang, who was also Akeem the African Dream, but I thought that was horrible. He was good as one-man gang. One of the first to, Bully Ray, you stole it, you bastard. Just like you stole Velvel from me, you bitch. King Kong Bundy. Him and Big John Studd were a huge tag team. Remember they cut Andre's hair and threw the hair to the crowd?
He was also a tag team with Typhoon.
Typhoon and Earthquake were the natural disasters.
Yep.
Okay, we'll get down to tag teams in a minute, but I don't have them, so it's a good bring up. How about Billy Jack Haynes, who my buddy said he was never in the WWE. He was in for a cup of coffee.
Well, I'm sure not a lot of people remember Billy Jack Haynes.
I do, but I watch this stuff religiously. When I like something, I like it. When I don't, I ain't watching it. Chico Santana. One of the better tag team wrestlers, the Flying Burrito. And I'm going to ask you now, what's his favorite place to get wings?
Aruga's.
No.
Westgate.
The Westgate. See, you think you're funny. Aruga. How about the Junkyard Dog?
JYD.
JYD. He was a huge name, especially among the black people. No prejudice thing saying, just, he was a huge, one of the first African American. Ooh, I'm not going to get in trouble tonight.
Yep.
He was a huge star. People loved this guy. I like to wrap him in the head with the chain myself, just because he didn't impress me that much, but what do I know? Okay, back to the tag teams. Strike Force? Anybody remember them? That was Tito and Rick Martel. And they would strike with force. I have to tell you, that has to be the worst promo I ever saw in my life. Demolition? Sort of a rip-off. Okay, it was a rip-off of the Road Warriors, Axe, Smash, and
Crush.
There you go. How about the Islanders?
Does anybody remember the Islanders?
Haku and?
Was it Faktu?
No. Nobody? It was Haku and?
Sato?
No. Tama.
Tama.
It was a Tonga kid and Tonga. They were
Tonga
both.
kid.
He was a Tonga kid too.
No,
I remember. Hey, I mentioned
the
it.
Islanders.
You don't remember him. Get off my show.
I was probably drunk.
How about the Bushwhackers?
The Bushwhackers,
Were?
I remember.
Who were they before?
Seat herders.
And they were awesome because they were heels, barbed wire matches. Those guys are the most vicious people. Then they come and they'd eat sardines. Go figure.
Yeah.
Vince always finds a way to take the talent and fuck it up for us.
Not speaking of WWE, but the Sheep Herders and the Fantastics in the barbed wire cage was one of the greatest matches that I've ever seen.
6-man. It was cheaper. It must have been them and whoever
Jack Victory
against and Terry Taylor, and was it Taylor with them?
Terry Taylor and the Fantastics.
Because we always talk about that and we couldn't find it until we put in 6-man. It was a
One of
6-man.
the greatest
Old UWF. Again, we will be talking about them in a future episode. How about the Killer Bees? B. Brian
Yeah, right here.
and was one of the first to wear the masks, so you didn't know which was which because they had similar body styles. It was B. Brian Blair and Jumpin' Jim Brunzel. The Rougeau brothers, Jacques and Raymond. I didn't like them much. The Rockers. A little early shout out to Shawn Michaels.
Marty Jannetty.
And Marty Jannetty. One I like, the Brainbusters. Oh, I have natural disasters. Why didn't?
Yeah.
Is that why you said it? Okay.
No,
shut
I
up.
didn't even see that. Well, you think I can read that?
Yeah, all right. The Brainbusters was my boy Arn and Tully. They jumped ship from the old WCW or NW, wherever it was at the time, and they came over with Bobby Heenan. I'm pretty sure they won the belts at least once because Heenan usually had a belt. Some of the managers that we didn't talk about, Jimmy the Mouth of the South Heart. Everybody remembers him with that megaphone that you'd like to have shoved up his ass. Mr. Fuji wasn't a really good manager, but he was there. I guess he did Demolition, and then the Powers of Pain, who I didn't mention, right? Didn't he do that? And he turned on him, and then they stole the belts from him. Johnny V, who just died because him and Justy's dad walked out in the middle of the road, and a car ran him down. How drunk do you have to be to walk out in the middle of the road and die hit by a car? More on that later.
More drunk than Jacob Carter.
I just don't understand that. I don't know how that possibly could happen. On that note, I think we're going to end the 80s cartoon characters. Join us again. We'll be doing a bunch of different wrestling, everything from ECW to the Attitude Era to how fucked up it is now. Thanks, Vince. No bloods, no tits, no nothing.
No attitude.
Yeah. TNA, Ring of Honor. We're going to talk about all the stuff. Old
NWA.
Japan, NWA, WCW.
FMW.
Maybe. What's FMW? Florida.
Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling.
No, we won't be.
That's deathmatch wrestling.
No, we won't be. Anyway, this is Jacob Carver, B. Brian, what's his name, and Mike Money saying, fuck off.
Cha-ching. Mil Mascaris.